But let's return now to our story about the Manchester Arena bombing report. We were speaking to our guest, David Lowe, who is from the Leeds Beckett University Law School, researching terrorism, security and policing. David, thanks for hanging on. Apologies for breaking away there to hear about the snapshot of the economy. What about the snapshot now of this inquiry into the Manchester, the bombing and, of course, the emergency response? Because we were discussing before we broke away how one of the problems identified at the inquiry was that the ambulance workers wouldn't go in for fear there might be a second device there.
Yeah, and the other thing was the Bronze Commander, the senior police officer at the scene, also commenced Operation Plato, which is to deal with a marauding terrorist attack. And that was based from information that was coming in. Now, at that particular time, paramedics were held back until the marauding terrorist attack had been eliminated and the place made safe. But of course, we now know that was not the case. And also, we now know there's no secondary IED. So no doubt Sir John Saunders will actually make reference to this issue because we're down to communication again. But I will add, Mark, that events have changed. Well, this is 5.5 years ago now, the Manchester Arena attack. There's been a change in the role for paramedics at a terrorist incident. One, they have more protective equipment and they are now encouraged to go in. And I think this is one of the key things, of course, of why there's been more fatalities and at the attack, that there could have been less if more paramedics had been allowed to go in. So it's a really important development that's happened post the Manchester Arena attack.
Yeah, I mean, the dreadful stories, of course. One in particular, John Atkinson, of course, the attempts to save him with a tourniquet on the leg where he didn't then get help from paramedics in time. But was it done for what might be called the right reasons, that the protocols were in place with the various sort of exercises that they do on these disasters, that perhaps the paramedics hadn't gone in for the right reasons, if you can put it that way?
Yeah, if we put ourselves back to May 2017, at that particular time, the last thing that you would want is your paramedics to go in who haven't got right equipment. And, of course, they become casualties themselves.
Yeah.
So that was the thing at the time, but it's changed, Mark. That approach has changed.
What about the families, then? They're campaigning long and hard to get their stories heard. And, of course, our heart goes out to the families who have been affected, particularly with the youngsters. Are we in a position where we can say that justice has been done for them? Yeah,
the Saunders inquiry has been absolutely, it's gone through everything in great detail. I mean, as you said, this is the second of 3 reports coming out, and we only have to look at the first report. So, yeah, in that sense, the sad part with any attack like this, where we have the casualties, we just can't bring the bereaved back. We can't bring the dead back. But it's having that notification that, yes, there were issues over communication between the 3 emergency services, because people might remember it was 2.5 hours before the fire service actually got to the scene. Changes and developments, and that's a positive to take away, is, having that arrangement where an attack actually happens, where circumstances and how the operation is improving, so we can look to the future and hopefully minimise the impact that we saw at Manchester.
David, thank you very much indeed for staying with us and, of course, bringing us your reaction. And indeed, we'll have the latest from Manchester a little later here on GB News Day. Thank you very much indeed.